Hey chat, what's going on? I think we may have this thing actually figured out. All right, we're gonna find out as we drive home today. What's up? Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you. Welcome to test number 42. And we're gonna see how it actually goes. I've got everything connected, solid power supply, everything all looking good, and we're getting ready to head home. So, how are you guys doing today? You guys all well? You guys all good? Yeah, I told you I had to bring a change of shirt today, so I didn't dox myself at work. So here's the deal: we've been connected for 15 minutes now, and I feel good about that. Power supply cable was the issue. Yeah, no, I didn't dox myself while leaving work, it would appear. So that's a good thing, right? Good afternoon. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Microphone sounds good. Listen, we are also, I did a little bit of tweaking on the microphone mount earlier today. So we're going to see how that behaves as we drive on down the road. But here's what I've got. So you guys can see, I've got my Starlink data monitor set up. I have power supplies, new cables. I've got the backpack powered up. And the backpack is currently connected to 5 data sources, which is as expected, 4 modems plus the Starlink. So we're going to test. Omega says, what is this stream? This stream is just testing the modifications that I made to the wiring for the Starlink satellite. All right, that's all we're trying to do here is just modify and test to make sure that everything is good to go. So the other night I tried to do a stream, Jay, and we were dropping connection left and right, like crazy, terrible bad. And I was really aggravated, like super frustrated. And I got home and I was tinkering, I was testing wires and checking everything and doing all this and that. And what I believe that I found was a faulty wire. I found a faulty wire. And, you know, what's crazy is this whole expensive setup, the satellites and the batteries and the modems, and it was brought down by one bad cable, which is super frustrating in and of itself, but just shows how important every single piece of this network setup is. So I have replaced that wire and replaced that cable, and I'm running an alternative power supply and all the things, and we're just going to watch and we're going to see how well it does today. So that's where I'm at. Now, somebody do some quick math for me if you don't care. 15 minutes times 10 is 150 minutes. What? That's roughly 2.5 hours. So Chef was the one that kind of helped me diagnose, you know, some power rating issues, and that's exactly what it was. The power cable itself wasn't rated for the power draw that we needed, and the power draw is actually hitting the power supply for higher than we had originally thought. So what we've got is we've got the power supply for the backpack, which we already kind of figured was going to be good for what, roughly 3 hours, 3.5 hours, give or take. The power supply for the Starlink looks like it's only going to run for about 150 minutes, about 2.5 hours. But I purchased a second power supply for that one. So we've got potentially up to 5 hours of Starlink usage before we'd have to swap out a battery. Now, the other piece of good news there is that if we were on the road, if we were traveling, if we were going somewhere, you know, cross country or like to the beach or something like we'll do this summer, then what I will likely do is have a rapid charger here at the vehicle. So when one battery is powering the Starlink, then when I swap them out, then I'll throw the other one back on charge because I got a power outlet over here. So either that or I may end up having to buy another Starlink battery pack. But I'd rather not do that if I think I can get away with it, because they're like $270. Jay says, will all this work on the cruise? Well, tonight's going to be a really good indication, to be honest with you, because now that we've got the power supply issue solved, now I've got the backpack up and I'm just monitoring. That was the whole point of this test bonus stream tonight. It's only going to be about an hour and 10 minutes because Oliver's got a basketball game, so I'm headed to Oliver's basketball game right now. And if it stays connected the whole way, then we know we've got our battery problems, our wiring problem solved. But if that's the case, then yes, there's no reason why it wouldn't work on the cruise, because now we've got the satellite thing figured out. So that's what we're looking like. Now, I will tell you, now that I think about it, power supplies, I may want to get an extra one or two, because when we're on the cruise, we're going to want to use 2 Starlinks at the same time, and I've only got 2 power supplies, so I might need to get at least one more. God, that sucks. Although I do have a power inverter that I might try to make it work on one of these other power supplies, which is probably a terrible idea. I mean, here's the thing. Off this power supply, it's showing wattage out. All right, I can see that it's only using about 20, what is that, 20 watts out, between 20 and 25. So, Chef, you were right. It's weird, though, because the Starlink won't power up unless the cable is able to draw 100 watts. But it's not drawing 100 watts. It's only drawing like 20 to 25. But if I try to use a smaller battery pack, won't even turn on. Won't even turn on. So that's absolutely crazy. Now, one other thing that I got to help me with some of our IRL stuff, again, shout out to I Show Speed, because again, a lot of these ideas came from him. I got a wrist mount. I don't know if you guys can see it. I got a wrist mount for my phone, so I can be hands-free, and that will help me when I do Pokemon, or when I'm driving, or just when I'm out and I need to hold a gimbal or whatever. Then I've got this little armband thing. So Chef says it needs about 100 to calibrate. Well, that would be it, because now it's only drawing, like I said, right now it's drawing 21. But it won't even turn on a power supply unless I can get it 100. So the thing is, what I want to try to do, I've got one other cable that I want to tinker with, and I might even do it. I probably don't want to do it tonight, but I've got one other cable that I want to try and see if it will work with a smaller power supply. If not, I'm going to have to buy more power supplies, I think. I think there's no other way around it. Because it wasn't supposed to... You remember all those extra power supplies I bought from the backpack company? I bought 5 batteries. Is that right? Did I get 5 or did I get 6? I don't remember. And then I have 2 Starlink supplies. But originally, my thought process is that the X1s, which came with the backpack, would have been enough to power the Starlink. But that does not appear to be the case. So I may have to buy more Starlink power supplies, which means I'm going to have way too many batteries. But, what are you going to do? Wilson, thank you for the 55 stream streak. Have we lost connection yet at all? I don't think that we have. I think we're looking pretty good. The Starlink is still connected. I'm going to check my data monitor over here. The Starlink data monitor shows 26 minutes running. So that's fantastic. I have seen where it has transferred satellites twice so far. Once at 5:54, which is before I started stream, and then once again at 6:09. which would have been just 1 minute ago, which makes sense because I looked over just a second ago and I saw the bit rate down, but it's already recovered and it never lost network connection. So that's good. Roselius, thank you for the 50 stream streak. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, yeah, we look like we might be, we look like we might have got that problem licked. But, like I said, what that's going to mean is I'm going to need additional power supplies, which, so, probably going to have to do that before the cruise. I'm going to have to pick up a couple extra power supplies. But if it works, then that makes it worth it, right? Why spend? You know, it's one of those things, like, you spend a big chunk of money, right? And, which we did. We spent nearly 15 grand for this backpack and all the accessories and stuff. And then little things nickel and dime you, like power supplies. And honestly, the power supply is, I mean, what I've got is probably good enough, right? I've got 5 hours worth of satellite battery, but only 2.5 if I'm using both satellites. Tonight, I am only using one. On the ship, we have to use 2. So that means I've only got 2.5 hours worth. So I'm definitely going to need more. There's no doubt. I'm definitely going to need more. So it's like those, you spend a big thing of money and then you got to accessorize. You got to nickel and dime it to make it right. Like this little thing. All right. This wasn't much. This was like $49 or something like that. But this is awesome. This solves my whole hands-free problem. And even my Pokemon Go, like if I'm streaming and I want to be able to play, I can do that. This is great. I stole this from Speed Stream. I saw he was driving somewhere and I saw him with this on and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. I need one of those. Yeah, all the dongles have to be upgraded and moistened, you know, things like that. But the backpack is connected. We are solid. Hey, by the way, do you guys hear the rattle in the microphone? Do you guys hear the rattle through the camera? Because I tried to fix that too. No rattle today? That's great. Now, I'm not doing 70 yet. Haven't hit the highway yet. But we'll see when I speed up. So no rattle either, which is very, very good. You know, another small thing that I might want to look into is just how dark this stream is. I might want to get a small little ring light for my dash. Small little ring light for the dash so you guys can see in here a little bit better, because again, it's dark. So, hey Lightning Hawk, what's going on? Appreciate it. Mad Hatter, 95 stream streak, keeping it alive. So, hey, don't forget, I'll be streaming again tonight after Oliver's basketball game. This is technically considered a bonus stream, even though it's a test stream. It's still bonus stream. Lightning Hawk with the 5 stream streak. Roselius, Wilson, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, I can get a little ring light at Walmart. Actually, I probably have several of those at home. I've probably got a couple that I can just grab and I can plug into a USB port. I've got USB ports in here. So I can just grab a little mini ring light, throw it in, make it better. So crazy enough, the cabin light is on. The cabin light is on right now, because if I turn it off, it gets even darker in here. So the cabin light was on, and I just turned it off, and it's even darker, so I'm going to turn it back on. I think. What was better? I just now turned it back on, so you guys can see what's better. I don't think that this camera has, like, real good night vision on it, so that also tells me that night streams outdoors are not going to be super great unless it's well lit. But yeah, I'll just grab a little ring light to put in here. Yeah, I don't have a sunroof. Vanity mirror light. I don't think the driver's side has a vanity mirror light. No, driver's side doesn't have a vanity mirror. Actually, let me see if the passenger side does. No, this truck doesn't have either of those. In the meantime, celebrating what I believe to be problem solved, we're 31 minutes on a solid Starlink connection. I'd say that we fixed the wiring problem. Where's my applause button? I can't find the button in this truck. Can't find the button. So, yay! We fixed that problem. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I do have the cabin lights on right now. Also, when I turned it off, it completely disappeared. Yeah, I'm going to have to get myself a ring light. Just a small little one for in the truck. I mean, for only when we're doing these types of streams when I'm driving late. I don't know how often I would actually be doing that anyway. Actually, probably more often than I realize. Like if I'm taking off to Nashville after work one night, we could do a stream. And once I am reasonably comfortable that I don't need to... My phone's ringing. Once I am reasonably comfortable that I don't need my network monitor on, we can try something else. We could join Discord on the truck's speakerphone and see if we could actually rope in Discord callers. Because, yeah, if I was driving to Nashville or doing anything like after work one night, we could actually do a show like we used to. We used to do those talking in cars like all the time when I used to drive to pick up the kids and stuff. That was a long time ago. Most states have internal cabin lighting laws. What, that they can't be too bright? See, or that they can't be on while you're in motion. Can they really tell from outside the vehicle? Can they really tell if there's a cabin light on? Unless they're right next to me. I mean, oncoming traffic, you're not going to see it, right? But if I turned off the cabin lights and just put a small little ring light, then I could just claim, oh, that's how bright my dash is. That's my navigation beaming up on my face. That's what that was. But we'll figure it out, and we'll comply with all federal and state and local laws. Right now we're just testing. Just testing. But so far, I'm very, very pleased with what we've got here so far. 35 minutes, backpack still connected, all 5 modems are working, which, you know, again, I wasn't expecting all 5 modems to stay working, especially if we were going the other direction. Now, you guys remember when I left my house the other night to go and we dropped signal 10 times. That's where the Starlink is going to come into play, because I live in such an area where the cell signal is so terrible that all the modems drop out, and then we need the Starlink to carry the slack. And I'll still point out, that is still not a guarantee, because I'm only running one Starlink. So if all the modems are out at a time that the Starlink has to renegotiate, then we will still drop. All right? But if we were doing a longer trip, then we would actually have both Starlinks working. Like, if I'm going to the beach this summer, I'll get a vehicle with a sunroof. I'm absolutely going to mount both Starlinks. I'll mount them both. And it'll be fine. And that vehicle will probably have an AC plug, so I won't even have to worry about battery power. I'll just plug it in. Actually, I'm a dummy. I should have plugged this into the power plug. Yeah, but that's beside the point. I wanted to test the power supplies. That's what I was after. I wanted to test the power supplies. But if I do this again, I don't even need a power supply, because I can plug it in. I can plug it, and it'll be fine. I wonder how many plugs are in this truck. I think there's 2. But this truck doesn't have a sunroof, and I don't know where I would put the other Starlink. I don't think it would work if I put it on a side window, would it? Because then it'd just be pointing straight out. It needs to be pointing to the sky, so I don't think it would actually work. So in this truck, there's no point in actually having 2. I do obviously very quickly want to say thank you to those who did tune in and check this out. I did not do a Discord blast, which probably means somebody's going to get upset about a stream streak. Didn't think about it. Are any of the mods actually in chat, and you could do a quick announcement, because I'll be on stream for about another 40 to 45 minutes so they can maintain their stream streaks before I go to Oliver's basketball game. Now, ironically, where Oliver has his basketball game doesn't have very good cell phone signal, so we'll get to actually see the load on this thing. But again, if the cellular bounces out at a time that the Starlink is renegotiating, then you guys are still going to get a drop. But it'll be better than what it was. The only way to prevent that is to run both of the Starlinks at the same time, which I do not have set up in this vehicle at this time. That would be an interesting next test, is to run both Starlinks at the same time and then go somewhere where there's no service. See how it works. That would be my next test. I've also got another cable that I do need to test. The one that goes in the backpack. So crazy enough, Chef, that cable that was faulty, that was one of two cables that came with the backpack for the Starlinks. So if this one was bad, it could just be bad, but I'll need to test the other one to make sure it works. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to have to send them both back and then come up with another idea. I think I know what I could do, but I would have to run an Ethernet cable inside the backpack. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. Oh, there's Tarpy. Hey, Tarpy. Hi. Looks like we fixed our problem. The Starlink's been connected now for... do an announcement so that people don't miss their stream streaks. Oh, did we lose? No, I should be fine. We should be all right, because I do see where the modem's dropped out, but the Starlink is in. So my monitor is extremely delayed. My monitor is extremely delayed, but I did see where the modem's dropped out, but the Starlink stayed connected. Now, again, if I was running both... 3 out of the 4 modems just dropped. Right now, we're only running one modem and the Starlink. So the modem and the Starlink are the only things, one modem and one Starlink are the only things keeping you up. Now I've got 2 modems back and a Starlink. Okay, so Halo, how quick did that happen? Because again, I can't see on the monitor. So when it dropped, how long were you on that screen before it came back? And you said that happened 4 times. So I can't see a video monitor. How long were we down before it came back? 2 to 6 seconds. Retrieving says a minute. No, I need precise. Like, I mean, are we talking like 5 or 6 seconds, or are we talking a whole minute? Okay, so Halo says 10 seconds on the longest one. Sherlock says 2 to 3 seconds. Halo says 2 to 6 seconds. Tony Pie says 5 seconds. Okay, good. So as long as it wasn't a whole minute. So what that was, and I'll tell you right now because I can see it, what that was a case of unfortunate timing, the modems dropped in a bad cellular area, and during that modem drop, my Starlink was renegotiating. I can see it here. Renegotiating at 6:22 p.m. So that was 2 minutes ago. So that's exactly what happened. Because even now I'm only running, the Starlink is running, and we have 3 of the 4 modems back. So honestly, not too awful shabby, and that is as expected if we're running Starlink only, right? Like if the modems are in a bad service area, like they would be on the cruise ship, if the modems are in a bad service area and the only thing it's relying on is the Starlink, and then it goes to renegotiate, then that's it. So that's why we had to have 2 Starlinks right there as proof positive. Now, the fact that it was only a couple of seconds is very, very good. That's excellent news, actually. But that's very expected for when I go through a bad service area and only have 1 Starlink. So, honestly, not too awful shabby. All right? I'm not dissatisfied with that. That's exactly why we bought 2 Starlinks. I'm only testing 1 tonight because we were trying to figure out the power supply issue. Now, could run into another problem here in the next moment or two, because my Starlink says that I have elevated packet loss because my view is obstructed. And that's because I'm driving alongside a stupidly tall mountain at the moment. So the Starlink is not super great at this second because I'm right next to a huge mountainside. So it has obstructions, and I have elevated packet loss. Thank you, Tarpy. Appreciate it. That's true, Halo. I'm also moving, so it's going to be constantly renegotiating. Much faster than it would be if we were stationary. But the power supply is working, and we are maintaining a connection to the backpack, which is the most important thing. Even if the data... Like, that was our problem the other night. Even if data drops in and out, the LAN is supposed to stay connected to the backpack, and that is happening. The backpack has not dropped the signal from the Starlink Mini's wireless router at all. Oh, yeah, it's dark, Nelson. It's been dark for an hour. So, the next test... You're right, Tribble. On a cruise ship, you're moving too, but you're also moving a lot slower. I think a cruise... about 25 to 30 miles an hour, plus... you've got a completely unobstructed view of the sky. So it'll be able to hang on a lot longer, and you're moving at a third of the speed. Hang on a little easier. So you guys just had another drop. Well, like I said, the Starlink was struggling there for a minute. And I just dropped 2 more modems. Alright, so 4 drops, but just for a couple of seconds each. Bacon says, I like how you have it set for the BRB screen during signal loss. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of the subscription software I have with the encoder, is that it lets you know that we're just having a connection issue instead of a bad screen or something like that. Now, another thing that this software doesn't up yet, instead of showing you a BRB screen, I can actually have it set to show you clips. But I feel like that would be confusing if we were talking about something and all of a sudden it goes to a clip of something else. That's why I just went to the BRB screen. But yeah, that is a failover, a fail-safe of this software. And I'm pretty sure that Dr. Iron Chef had mentioned to me to not to drop the, because right now the lower threshold is 1,000 kbps, and I think he had told me to drop it to 750. Power issue. All four modem. All right, I think you guys should be back. That, some type of weird power thing. So the modems are still offline. The modems are still offline, but the Starlink did throw a power code. Now, like, that was 40 minutes in, but it threw a ground fault error to the power supply, which is weird. The power supply readout, there was a I'm running it off its own independent power supply. But that is interesting. I wonder what that was. We should be back. I'm showing 3 modems and the Starlink is back. But, yeah, I got a ground error from the power supply. Which is interesting. But yeah, we should be good and back. How can I have dirty power out of a power bank? How's that possible? It's not connected to any lines. It's a power cell. No way. Hang on. The Starlink is doing the same thing. This is with a whole new cable, and it was working fine, and now it just power cycled again. It's doing the same thing that we had. I don't even know if you guys are back. Yeah, I think you should be. Are you guys back? Oh, see, my chat monitor is connected to Starlink data, so I can't tell. Okay, you guys are there. Nelson says possibly a bad power supply. That is possible. All right, Starlink is back up. I'm going to watch this for a minute. It is connected to the backpack, but after it rebooted a second ago, after I got that ground fault, then it came back up and rebooted again after like 2 minutes. But now it's back and it's working. Chat's working and it's connected back to the Starlink app. We're 2 minutes at 95% connect rate. So I'm going to watch that for another few minutes. That's weird. I am puzzled. I mean, it's obviously working way better than it did the other night, but I still don't want power drops like that. Because if I've got the backpack on, I'm never going to see, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to see the readout of the power display because it'll be in the backpack. But the backpack is showing 6,000 kbps, so we should be, and it's showing 3 modems and a Starlink. Can you guys see me in chat? I feel like oh no, there it goes. Okay, you guys are just chatting slowly. There's Prince. Bad connector, sucking power faster than the batteries can give. Yeah, but it's a Starlink power supply. Shouldn't be having that issue. Now again, if I'm running both Starlinks, in theory, that's an issue we should be able to avoid as far as the drops go. But I'm still gonna have to figure out why we're getting a faulty, like a ground fault from a power cell. So yes, the Starlink is hooked through a Starlink USB-C to a Starlink approved 140 watt dedicated Anchor power supply. There's nothing else plugged into it. It's an Anchor power supply that was approved by Starlink that's got 140 watts on one USB-C. And like I said, it's working fine now. A minute ago, it threw an error. It said ground fault, and it shut the Starlink off. But now that it's back up, seems fine. We've now been up for 6 minutes. No, not quite. 5.5. It came from the Anchor power supply, Guru. It was on the screen of the power supply. It said ground fault. I wonder, I've got an Anchor app. I'm not going to mess with it while I'm driving, but I've got an Anchor app. I wonder if it stores logs. I'll look in the Anchor app this evening and see if it's got a log for what might have happened. Hey, pal. Yeah, you like the shirt? I love the shirt. I actually got 3 or 4 of them. And they're actually new. I got a couple and I put them in the backpack. So if I'm somewhere where I need to change, so I don't dox myself or something like that, then I can. We are back to 3 modems and a Starlink, so running pretty reliably now, and the Starlink's been back for 6.5 minutes now, so I don't know. Could call it a fluke. I hate flukes. Definitely want to keep an eye on that power supply. Yeah, I don't want to dox myself again for the 13th time. Ah, that's delicious. The ice-cold, refreshing flavor of a Coke Zero. Whew. Should get an endorsement deal with them. I wonder, do you think it could be heat? Well, no, the battery pack's not hot at all. It's cool, in fact. Just wondering what a ground fault error would be from an Anchor power supply. Does the Anchor have a 120 volt output to the Starlink power supply? Or is it low voltage like USB-C? Dude, I don't even know what that means. If you're asking if there's a wall plug-in on the Anchor mount, no. It is a USB-C that plugs directly into the Starlink, but it's using a Starlink, the Starlink USB-C cable. And Starlink said that this power supply was approved because basically their only requirement was it had to have 100 watts on an output. So this power supply has 140. So it should be fine. Am I charging the battery right now while it's in use? No, I am not. It is just sitting up on the dash. There's nothing else plugged into it other than the Starlink. We just dropped another modem. But we're running 2 modems and a Starlink, which is good. Because we're still on. And I just got 1 modem back. So 3 modems and 1 Starlink. Broken Wolf says, an Anchor battery ground fault error usually signals a safety issue, often from moisture, damaged cables, or an incompatible device. Well, the cables are fine. There shouldn't be any moisture because it's been in the truck all day. Now, could it be because it was in the truck all day and it was 11 degrees here today? I didn't put it in the truck, and it's been, I got to work at 8:30. The high today was like 13 degrees. Could it have been something like that if it was too cold? Or could it be, now that I've got the heat on, could it be condensating? Could definitely have condensation. All right, so don't leave stuff in the truck. Got it. Could condensation be inside it? Because, there's nothing on the outside. It feels fine on the outside. Alright, so just don't leave this stuff in the truck anymore. I can do that. Down 1 modem plus a Starlink. 1 modem plus a Starlink. And we might have actually just dropped signal. You guys tell me if you still have me. The Starlink looks like it's weaker signal. Oh no, the modem picked up. We're still at 6,000 kbps, so the modem's running at 5, and Starlink's up to 1 now. Okay, well, then it never dropped. Cool. That is what's supposed to happen. But I am running on 1 modem and the Starlink, because 3 modems have dropped out. Whew. All right, got 2 modems. And a Starlink. Putt saying most likely a short somewhere that connected with low resistance from the power supply to ground, causing a spike in current flow. So it kicked the GFI circuit. Cold temps and moisture could be the cause. Well, I just won't leave it in the truck anymore. Hey, pal, I love that song. That might be one of my favorite songs from the 80s, Power of Love. It's a great song. Love it. Huey Lewis in the news, baby. Wardot says you left a $15,000 piece of equipment in your truck. Well, yes, I did, but it was locked, and I had the keys, and I get to park literally right next to my office. I can see my truck from my window, so. But in hindsight, that probably was not the wisest thing, especially given the extreme temperatures today. So yeah, probably should take it inside with me in the future. What I do want to do next, my next test, which obviously I'm not going to do tonight, my next test will be testing that second identical cable that came from Starlink, or came from the backpack people, to test the second satellite and see if that works. And if it does, then just this one cable's bad and I'll send it back. If it doesn't work, then both of those cables are bad and basically just mean that they're not compatible between Starlink and the backpack, which is ironic since they were sent by the backpack people for Starlink. But also, as mentioned, I am only the second person in the world to be using this backpack with the Starlink. So Speed may be using different cables. He may not have got the cables from here. He may be running his into a totally different type of power supply. Heck, he might have a production guy that's carrying like a generator or some crap, because he's got a lot more power needs than I do. Guru says, please stop calling them satellites. Those are in space. You have an antenna. Okay. Fair. I will try. I have an antenna. I have 2 antenna. I have antennae. No, it's just antenna, right? I have 2 antenna. 2 antennas. What do I have? What's the plural of antenna? Get a generator backpack for Griffin. Tarpy says, I would love to see you test these things while someone else is driving. No, listen, this is completely, I'm not touching anything. I'm not touching anything, and I can't change anything while I'm driving. I didn't even bring the second Starlink with me. I was just testing today's for the power supply. But the next test, we'll be doing exactly what we did here and testing the other cord with the backpack and trying to run 2 at the same time. Actually, I don't want to. I want to change 1 variable at a time. So I would run this exact same test again, but with the other dish and the cable that came to that one. You can see that dish antenna is not Wi-Fi enabled because that's the one that goes onto my backpack, so it has an Ethernet port. So that would be that would be the next test. And then our last test would be running both Starlinks at the exact same time, 1 Ethernet and 1 Wi-Fi. So I'm going to have to do at least a couple more of these nighttime streams. I might do the second one tomorrow. I'll take this dish inside, leave it, grab the other dish and the power supply, and hook it up through Ethernet and see how that works. We can do that tomorrow. And then our last test will be running both of them at the same time, which I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do in this vehicle. I'll have to contemplate this. Well, no, here's the thing, pal. There really wasn't any troubleshooting. Like, I haven't adjusted or changed anything while I've been driving. I did all the troubleshooting last night at home, found what I thought to be a bad cable, swapped it out, hooked it up today. The only thing I've been doing is monitoring the network test and the backpack, which has got a readout. Like, it's got a screen on it, so I'm not even touching it. I'm just looking, I'm glancing, and it's got a big readout for however many modems and the total bit rate and all that stuff. So that's all I have to see. As far as chat, I mean, technically it's no different than me looking at my speedometer because I've got an armband. I'm not even holding a phone. Watch, I'm going to take my hands off the wheel. See? Trapped in my line of sight. So yeah, we're going to have to do at least a couple more tests. But all in all, I'd say this test here tonight was a success. Tomorrow, I will take the power, I'll take the whole rig in the office tomorrow so that we shouldn't have any condensation when we give it a try tomorrow night. And we'll try backpack plus antenna 1, because this one's technically deemed antenna 2. We'll do backpack plus antenna 1 with an Ethernet hookup and its power supply, and we'll give that a go. See what happens from there. Did you guys just lose signal? I'm showing a very strong bit rate. Was it out for a few seconds or? Yeah, I mean, I'm showing 6,000 right now. So Shelby, Blue Cruise doesn't work for me because I'm not driving an interstate. Just driving good old-fashioned Mountain 2 lane. A couple of seconds. Okay. Well, again. Hey, so let me ask a question. Regarding the BRB screen, is it annoying that there's music that plays on that, given that it's only out for 2 or 3 seconds? Like, would I want to turn the music off on the BRB screen? Because I put music there in case I would have long swatches of disconnect, but if they're only 2 to 3 seconds, I could see that being annoying. Also, for you audio nuts out there, can you tell me, is it a hard cut or does it fade out? K9 says the music is very... Oh, wait. Stanton says keep it. Sound is better than no sound, says Fun Daddy. I can't randomly change the music. It's a preset thing. Now, I could change it from, like, one stream to another stream, but, like, I can't change it on the fly. Or I can't change it to go through a playlist, because it's basically, if you're familiar with OBS, it's just a scene that I have a song loaded into. So, but if it's only out for 2 or 3 seconds, I kind of wonder if the sound would be annoying. Okay, everybody says keep it. K9, everybody says keep it. You're the only one that said delete it. By the way, K9, I don't know if you've been in channel, but I have thanked you on stream like the last 2 or 3 times I've streamed, because I finally got to use those KitchenAid pasta. And dude, life-changing. Life-changing. I'm so grateful for those. I'm stupid for taking a year before I actually tried them out. Actually, I don't remember when you sent them. When did you send them? It was probably only like 6 months ago. I think it was over the summer. But still, absolutely freaking amazing. This past weekend, for my birthday, I made my own homemade pasta, and it was incredible. And I had a house full of 10 teenagers, plus me and Oliver. So I made pasta. For the first time ever, made pasta for 12 people, which was a little overwhelming. But it was delicious. It was amazing. And it was so amazing, in fact, that last night I used it again and made more pasta for just me and Oliver. I love it. I freaking love it. Thank you so much. And thanks again to Tarpey. I've said this a dozen times, but thanks again to Tarpey and Strider for teaching me how to do it and ultimately holding me responsible for making me do it, which was Tarpey. But K9, I've had those things sitting in a box for 6 months and I've not gotten them out. And then I did it this weekend and ridiculous. Ridiculous, dude. I can't believe how good it was. And then on top of that, like when I made it last night, so if I wasn't cooking for 12 people, I made it last night and it was easy. I mean, aside from the 30 minutes you got to let the dough sit, I probably actually only had 15 or 20 minutes in making it. And so that really wasn't bad. It was overwhelming the first night because it was 10 teenagers. And we made, how much did we end up making, Tarpey? Over 3 pounds. We made a triple recipe, so it was over 3 pounds of what would have been equated to dry pasta. So, you know, that always, once you boil it, it always ends up being more. But yeah, that was crazy. You guys should be back. Why are you saying, here we go again, Outlaw? I'm showing 7,000 kbps. Did it drop, or were you saying, here we go again on the pasta? Because if it was, I would appreciate you guys just tell me, even if it's only 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, if you guys would tell me in chat, I'd appreciate it. But it doesn't look like it dropped. Did you mean here we go again because I was talking about pasta? Dude, it was crazy. So delicious. So K9, thank you. Since you're here and you can hear me, thank you so much for those attachments. It was so good. Outlaw says, on the driving. I just jumped in. Oh, yeah, so we're testing Starlink again tonight, and it's worked remarkably well. We did have one power fluctuation, but that may just be because of weather. But the Starlink has been very reliable today. I also fixed the camera mount, so it's not rattling. I'm going to check the Starlink app. Everything looks good. It is sky searching at the moment. The Starlink does not have, but I'm in a terrible, terrible area. I'm surprised that I haven't dropped. Even the Starlink is struggling, but that's because I'm like going down a windy road with a mountain on each side. So it's probably terrible conditions even for a Starlink. Yeah, the Starlink doesn't have data, but I've got 2 modems that are hanging on for dear life. Even then, 2 modems are down. So I tell you, it's a good thing I bought 4 modems. And you know, I knew this was going to be a thing because of where I live. I knew, because the backpack had an option to buy 2 modems or 4. And I said, you know, 2 is not going to cut it. I mean, if I was going to spend all the money, it's like we were just talking about earlier. If I was going to spend all the money, why cheap out on something that only costs like $300 or $400? So I'm so glad I bought the extra 2 modems, because that has been absolutely necessary. Now, it's more expensive on a monthly basis too, because you're feeding 4 data plans instead of 2. But it wouldn't have worked otherwise. I mean, it's rare that I've been streaming with you guys and have all 4 modems. It's been very rare. Usually we're running 2 or 3 at a time. So I'm so glad that I actually got 4, because if I'd only bought 2, we'd have been in a world of hurt. So I am almost to Oliver's game, running late as I normally am. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go down. I'm going to get parked. I'll just be 2 or 3 minutes late for Oliver's game. I'm going to go down and get parked, and then I'm going to sign off. And then we'll do our STFC studio stream tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to tentatively plan another road test, Outlaw. I'm going to tentatively plan another road test tomorrow night with antenna number 1 and the Ethernet connection. And we're going to see how that holds. And then, if that holds, then my last road test is going to be with both antenna hooked into the same vehicle. Oh, I just got it again. All right, here's what it says. It says, circuit protection. Reconnect the device. This is from an Anchor. Can you guys see that? It says circuit protection, reconnect the device, and I just lost power. So somebody tell me what that means on an Anchor. I'm not going to reconnect the device because I'm pulling in the parking lot. But it just did it again. Circuit protection. Please reconnect the device. So, somebody tell me what that means from an Anchor power supply. That is bad. So, look, that happened about 35 minutes in, and it just happened about another 35 minutes in. So, it seems as though I'm only going to get like 30, 35 minutes out of this, and then I'm going to have to reboot, which is a problem if we're going to be on like the cruise ship and if we're going to be mobile. Fortunately, the other 2 modems are actually performing well because I still have you. The monthly cost for all these data plans, you don't want to know. I don't mind to tell you. The monthly data plan for the backpack is $459 plus $179. So what is that? Roughly $650.
Here's what I found.
So the monthly plan on the backpack's about $650. It's a car payment on a backpack. If it's not moisture in the connectors, it's a bad cable or a bad Starlink power adapter. So they're the same. There's nothing. You got the power supply, Starlink cable into the antenna. That's it. There's nothing else. Now, if you're referring to a power supply that's internal to the antenna, that's possible. But no, as far as pieces, there are no other pieces. Battery, cable, directly into Starlink. That's all we got. That's all she wrote. I'm trying to reverse right now. Stand by. Woo! Woo! There's a fence back there. Either too much draw or an overheating battery. So the battery does not feel hot. Clark asked if I can turn the data plan on and off each month. Yes, actually I can. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense because we're planning to do an IRL. Like, we're planning to do stuff. I mean, I'll just be straight up with you. My goal is 2,500 subs a month. If we hit 2,500 subs every month, we're spinning the go wheel every single month. I mean, that's my goal in 2026 as a partner, as a streamer, is 2,500 subs a month. If we do that, we're spinning the wheel every single month. So there's not going to be a month I don't use it. All right. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to read chat now that I'm parked. Okay. I'm going to back up just a little bit because I wasn't reading while I was pulling in the parking lot. JG says, I love homemade pasta. Me too. Now. Don't hear any rattling. Good. K92 says, so based on your shirt, is the Star of the Seas your next cruise to see Back to the Future, the musical? I did not know that was there, but I might now have to book. Thank you for that. Am I leaving it in the car while I'm at Oliver's game? I was going to. Are you telling me I should not? That was my plan, yes. but I can cover it up with a blanket so no one can see it. I answered the question about the monthly data plan. Oh, yes, each modem has its own data plan, but it's all a subscription through the backpack company. So, yeah, $650. Is that a Pip-Boy on my wrist? I don't know what a Pip-Boy is, but if you're asking, is this like an arm mount for my phone, then yes. And it allows me hands-free to still be able to do stuff on my phone. Plus, I can control the stream. This is like my hub of operations. So, like, I can control the stream, the scenes, the on and off, and watch Twitch chat and do all that stuff. Yes, I can turn it on and off each month, but like I said, that doesn't make much sense because I want to be able to do an IRL with you guys every single month, so it's going to have to stay on. Too much power draw or overheating battery. We said that. Battery doesn't feel like it's too hot. These are Starlink Minis, Guru. That is correct. All right, Captain Palmer says an anchor circuit protection enabled error means the device detected a fault, often a short circuit, overcurrent, or under voltage, triggered by a bad cable, dirty port, faulty device, or incompatible charger, prompting a safe shutdown. Unplugging and replugging or using different cable sources helps reset it and identify the real issue, as shown in Anchor's troubleshooting guides. Here's the problem with that. I can try another Starlink cable. I have one more. But, I mean, could it be a problem with the Anchor supply itself? Guru says, is there a heating mode on the dishes? Yes, but it is turned off. I already did that. Guru says he calls himself a gamer, doesn't know what a Pip-Boy is. No, actually, I'm not a gamer. I've told you guys this for years. I'm not a gamer. I just got into Star Trek, and now I play a couple of other things. I'm really not really a gamer. I've never played Fallout. No, I haven't. Is that a thing? That must be where that's from. Okay, I'm caught up on chat. So, if I unplug this and plug it back in, Starlink powers back up. So, do you still think that it could have been moisture from where it was 10 degrees because I left it in the truck? I mean, would it be warm by now or dry by now, or should we use this same power supply in a test tomorrow after I take the battery inside? Is the antenna for the Starlink outside of the car? It does not. It is on the inside of the car. It is on the inside of the car. There is an Anchor recall on power supplies. Well, I'll have to check that out. Hey, Benny Hill, will you DM me that link? Because as soon as I close Twitch, I'll lose the chat. So, but, hey. Yeah, no. Oh, you say none of the stuff is designed to be exposed to the cold. You mean by leaving it in the truck. I'll take everything into the office tomorrow. We'll test the same power supply, but the different cables tomorrow with the different antenna. We'll do all that tomorrow. And I am late for Oliver's game. I'm parked, so I'm getting ready to go inside now. So, with that, we should get ready to go. But thanks for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. How many people were here? Gosh, there's like 140 of you guys. Well, thanks. I appreciate you guys hanging out. This is what is the scene in Baymax, Big Hero 6, where Tadashi is testing the Baymax unit. He gets to like test 125. I feel like that's me. I labeled the stream Test 42. It's not actually Test 42, but I mean, there has been a dozen different tests that I've done even at the house not being on stream. So this is probably legitimately Test 12 or Test 15. And we're going to do another one tomorrow. So, yeah, welcome to science. Yeah, it's wearing me out. But we've got a few more things. I do feel like we've solved some problems tonight, though. At the very least, we solved the router rebooting issue. Now, we may have a condensation issue, in which case we should have that resolved tomorrow. I'll take all this stuff inside tonight, let it stay in the house with me, and then tomorrow when I get to work, I'll take it into my office so it'll never be cold. And then tomorrow evening, I'm going to plan another test with the other antenna, an Ethernet cable, and its power supply cable to see if we have issues. If we do have issues, then I'm going to know that both of these specially made Starlink cables from the backpack are bad. I'm going to have to send them back to the backpack people because, again, I'm only the second person in the world that's using them. So if they're bad, I need to let them know. And then we can try the rig that I've got here tonight just with a normal Ethernet cable. And we'll see how that goes. And then our last test is going to be with both Starlinks in the vehicle at the same time. And I'll probably run them both to AC power because I've got electrical outlets in here. I wanted to test the power supplies. We did that. We'll test the power supply again tomorrow to make sure that it's just a condensation issue, because that's what we'll need to rely on while we're on the cruise. But when I run both Starlinks, I don't need to run them off power cells that night. I'll just plug them up. So I think I've got a plan. Balabom says just wear the backpack all day at work tomorrow. Wouldn't matter because I'm inside, so the Starlink isn't going to work. You see what I'm saying? Starlink won't work inside, so no testing possible. All right. Well, Tarpy says, please try to get Noah to drive. No, he doesn't come to work with me. He's not going to do that. Besides, he's back in school now. So it'll be fine. I can get Oliver to drive after I pick him up from daycare tomorrow. Tomorrow after work, I'm leaving, and I'm just going to pick him up and then go on to the house. Where maybe, no, I'm not streaming tomorrow night. Like I'll do the test stream for an hour and a half, but after that I'm not. I got to take a night off. I've been streaming every day. So, anywho, all right. Oh, Clark, thanks for the redeem. See, cool. I can actually see that on my arm, on my Pip Boy. All gone. All right, guys. Well, with that, I believe I'm going to go. I'm going to watch Oliver play some basketball, and I'll see you guys in the studio probably close to 9-ish, maybe shortly after. Between 9 and 9:30 we'll go on, and tonight will be STFC in the lab. We'll take a look at events today, and I know Tarpy's been wanting to talk a little bit about the Dauntless too, because I know you guys have unlocked that free to play, so we'll mess with that. Yes, Tarpy, please choose someone to raid out as soon as you see the closing screen, because that'll give you 2 minutes. So as soon as you see the closing screen, go ahead and choose yourself a raid. And I'm going to go ahead and come over here and press the button. So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so very much. And I'll catch you in the studio later on tonight. Okay? And Tarpy, I remembered I've got to wait 5 seconds from when I stop talking to press the button. So 1,